European Union has come out with a pass, a COVID digital certificate. It is based on a list by another agency, but that agency hasn't listed Covishield. Now, bilaterally, number of European Union members, including Estonia, have listed Covishield as a vaccine that is approved for their national travel list. And Estonia, in fact, is the first country in the European Union which has listed all the approved vaccines. Here in India with me is the Estonian envoy to speak about it. Ma'am, welcome to Beyond. My first question to you, an obvious one. You're the first country which has approved all the vaccines which have been approved by India, which includes Covishield and Covaxin. If you can give us the details, when it happened and how is it going to help the ease in transport and of course Indians going to your country.
So thank you for inviting me. Namaste. So indeed, Estonian government decided already on June 21st to acknowledge the vaccine certificates of countries like India. If these countries if travelers from these countries are able to present on the border the COVID vaccination certificate, which has been approved officially by their governments, and of course with the vaccines that are administered in this country. And as India is vaccinating Indian citizens with Covishield and Covaxin, then the citizens can get certificates concerning these both vaccines. But this vaccination certificate only helps people to escape from mandatory quarantine on the border. It is not like a new sort of visa, or it will not open up automatically issuing or resuming giving to any third countries people Schengen visas as of tourism. It is related rather with those Indian citizens who have already a valid visa, who are maybe even Estonian temporary or permanent residents. They can travel easily if they can present on the border this certificate. But the other issue is EU Green Pass. This was meant to ease travel inside and in between the EU member states, because like in India, you had different rules and restrictions between union states and territories. EU member states also had introduced restrictions and travel was not so easy. But now the member states have decided to take these vaccines, which are acknowledged by European Medicine Agency, into EU Green Pass. But this is no way a precondition, or this is even not required from Indian citizens on the border. It is just for all EU members who have been vaccinated with 4 vaccines, because until now we have only Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson on this Green Pass. In order for India to get Covishield also into this Green Pass approved vaccines, Indian government should request the European Medical Agency to add Covishield into this list. But to do that, they should a particular file should be handed over. And I really encourage India to do it, because India has been giving so many vaccines, not only to Indians, but also to COVAX program for the United Nations. And this would be absolutely natural that Covishield would get recognition by WHO and the European Medical Agency.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, this idea of recognizing vaccines which are approved by national governments, including vaccines which the Indian government has approved, what was the thought behind this idea? I mean, you're the only country perhaps in the European Union and in the larger European continent which has approved all vaccines valid here in India, including India-made Covishield and Covaxin. The thought process, if you can talk about that.
I mean, this is mainly meant to protect the health of Estonian citizens and also other citizens who are traveling to Estonia, because it is very sure that any vaccine is better than not being vaccinated. And Estonian government has just decided to acknowledge it. And even we have lots of border commuting with Federation of Russia or Russian Federation, and there in Russian Federation, Sputnik is administered and a valid vaccine. And of course, if Russians willing to travel to Estonia, if they have a valid reason, they might have relatives living in Estonia, they can present this certificate and they can escape then the quarantine. Otherwise, they must be 10 days at least isolated and not having any contacts. But sometimes people just don't have time to lose so much time. And if they are fully vaccinated and having a negative PCR test, then why should they be isolated again? That was the reason.
Ma'am, talking about this pass, the European Union pass, the Green Pass, which in fact comes into effect from 1st of July, this pass uses the European Medicines Agency's list, the list that only approves 4 vaccines. Now, it could have been easy for the European Union to go for World Health Organization's list that has Covishield as well approved vaccine. Why, if you can talk, or perhaps if you know, if you have the insight, why European Union chose another list, a European list, instead of a list which is recognized globally?
This decision has been made together conjointly with all EU member states, especially Schengen states. And according to our commonly agreed rules, European Medicine Agency has a say here, which make medicines, which vaccines are included to the Green Pass. And this organization, this agency, is not a political agency. It is a purely medical scientific agency, and it works in the benefit of health of all people who are traveling inside the European Union. And I would just give this example: if Indian residents in Estonia would be vaccinated with in Tallinn in Estonia, they could also use and get this Green Pass, because in Estonia we are only administrating these 4 vaccines, and the main goal was to ease travel again among member states. So it is not against third countries, and it is not required. This is not a prerequisite or a must on the border.
Ma'am, a simple question to you, a question perhaps many Indians would like to know directly from you. Can Indians go to Estonia now? There will be no restrictions in terms of the vaccination issue. If you can clarify or perhaps explain that, is it easy for Indians now to go to Estonia?
So it is, of course, still a tricky question, and it is fully related with the situation of pandemic. It means that the Indians who have already a valid Schengen visa and who have been maybe Estonian residents or e-residents with a valid visa and need to go Estonia for their work or see the relatives, or there might be a health issue of very close people, they are of course allowed to enter Estonian territory. But as of new visas, the Estonian Embassy Consular Section has not yet resumed issuing C visas, which means visas for purely touristic reasons or non-essential travel. This will need some time. It may happen, but we just look the COVID numbers, and also we stick to the existing Schengen rules, where the tourism is not yet very much opened, unfortunately.
Ma'am, a last question to you. It's not about the vaccines, it's about the general relationship. Where do you see India-Estonia relationship? We know there have been engagement between the two countries in recent past few months and years. In fact, both countries are also member of the United Nations Security Council. You were the president just last month. So what kind of engagements are underway? If you can just tell us, talk about that.
Yes, thank you. You just mentioned the good cooperation in the United Nations Security Council. Indeed, our second chairmanship just finished yesterday, and one of the, if I would say, one of the two most important open debates in June were one on Afghanistan, where Indian Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, took floor. And the second was just 2 days ago on cybersecurity. And these topics, Estonia and India both understand that they are crucial to keeping world safe, and be it virtual or physical space. We need rules and good state behavior also in cyberspace. And secondly, Estonia and Indian relations in the current year will be marked by a few other very happy moments. Namely, India is currently preparing to open up its embassy in Tallinn. And we hope to welcome the Indian Minister of External Affairs in Tallinn quite soon. And this year we also celebrate 30 years of establishing diplomatic relations between Estonia and India. And last but not least, we are waiting to unveil the statue of Mahatma Gandhi. There also our two nations have a clear link and understanding that the struggle or battle or fight for restoration of independence should be non-violent and fully peaceful. Estonian revolution is called the singing revolution, and there our two nations can speak to each other, because many of the similar ideas were promoted by the father of Indian nation, Mahatma Gandhi.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am. You gave a lot of information in terms of the engagement, and particularly the visit, perhaps a high-level visit from India to your country. Thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to WION specifically on the vaccine issue. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Stay healthy.